Master.
Oh.
Your head is about 3 feet tall.
Master's.
I met him. You can't believe it.
Hey everyone.
Hi, John.
John.
Yeah. Nice to see you. Good to be with you again. Yeah, so
Which way? Which way?
can you hear me? Yeah, just give me a signal. You can hear
We can
me.
hear you, John. We can hear you.
Oh, okay. All right. So we're going to talk about leadership, and we're going to talk about power. And these feel like fertile topics, considering the fact that you guys are coming towards the close of this 6-week soul initiation journey, and you are going to be faced with the world. You're going to be heading back into the world and facing the question, what the fuck do I do now? What happens now? You know? Anyone feeling the tension of that question already alive in them? Yeah.
Excitement.
Okay. So let's just have a little alignment, and I want to share a reading with you. So just drop in with yourself, just go within. Just take some deep breaths. And I want you to just begin to connect to what turns your soul on. What activates the eros of your soul? And that may, likely will, activate the eros of your body, but I'm talking about the eros of your soul. That stirs passion and fire and life in your deep being, because it breaks you through to deeper meaning, where you're turned on and you touch others more deeply, you're touched yourself more deeply, and you know that when you're in that, somehow you serve more deeply. And allow yourself to feel the world right now. Expand your awareness out so you can sense and connect to what's happening in the world. The global pandemic, the environment, economic inequality, collapse of ecosystems, a huge pressure building inside the soul of humanity. And just take in the question, feel the question. Where do you find your place in that? And can you find your place, not in a way that feels heavy and burdened, but from a place where the eros of your soul wants to overflow into the world. Just let yourself explore that for a moment. What would that feel like for the eros of your soul? That sweet spot where you are in your greatest turn on and also your greatest service to give, to overflow into the world as part of the shift that wants to happen on the planet. You can take a deep breath. You can let that go. And I just want you to receive just a reading that I want to share with you. This is from the teachings that we received last year. Will you carry the weight of the world? Will your heart hold steady as the arrows arrive? Tension is the way of this approach. Tension that increases like the tuning of a string until it is tight and humming with life. Will you let your heart sing with that tension? Will you bear the burden? Will you offer your life to life? I ask you these questions because I seek your consent. Will you? Those who carry the weight do not have time for understanding the way. Their hearts feel the need and they respond with their whole being. This is purity. To wield the will, there must be no separation. One current of life, one dark river of being. Those I call do not need explanations or entitlements. They know in their heart that they are ready and they are already given. It is a relief to offer themselves without reservation. Indeed, they have been waiting for just such a call. They know that it is life itself calling them through the field of tension that is this ashram. It requires the full and immediate commitment of all their resources unequivocally. Consider how much vulnerability there is in this approach. No reserves, no fallback option, no room for maneuvering. This is not a path of cleverness, but a part of daring. When we have nothing left, there is yet the will. The will shall suffice. The will shall be reinforced. The will of the Lord of the world is a mighty ally. One trickle of daring arising out of a pure heart may call forth a river of life. Does this call thrill you? Does it thrum in your heart, straighten your spine, and bring you to the edge of the abyss? Then move to power. Move towards the dark current of life. Invoke the light with your daring. Stand up for the greater good in whatever field you find yourself. Call down the aid of the ashram with your verticality. I offer you the power of the living word. We have offered our help to all who call with pure motive in this time between worlds. Ask with your life. Lay the offering of your heart on the altar of sacrifice. Shambhala is. The solid ground of being is all around you. Fidelity is simply a return to your core. Let everything fall except what truly matters. Now. This is not a harsh way, but a way of simplicity. It will move you directly into usefulness, and it will bring you peace. How can there be peace when there is equivocation? You do not need to wait to know anything with certainty. Embrace uncertainty with your whole being. The mystery is a living spirit that will guide you through the maze unmistakably if you follow the tension in the core of your heart. When the fire of this approach has burned away your separate identity, there will be no possibility of independent action. Your will be instinctively one with the divine will, and it will operate through you without distortion. Those equipped to handle power are not the willful ones, but those who have learned to surrender their will. In the presence of true power, all lesser workings fall silent. In that silence, the inevitable acts. In any moment of time and space dedicated to that presence, the timeless and spaceless can enter the manifest world. When I advise to move to power, I am not advocating an attempt to enter what passes for leadership in modern society. I am advising a verticality of your spirit. Stand up wherever you are for the current of the new world and let us move you. We cannot act unless you stand. Do not concern yourself with status or influence. Simply be who you are, and that being will draw you into your most fitted field of service. Shambhala puts us in our place. Most people are simply too busy trying to place themselves. They do this according to their own will or desire, even if that is the desire to be useful or to be of service to the collective. Simply run the current of beingness. In the new world, none will be able to hide for long behind their veils. Who we are will be revealed. Let this revealing take place in your own heart so that you can be a stable pillar in the coming temple. It matters not whether you are large or small, in the center or on the periphery. Your place is your place. And if you show up in your naked spirit, the energy of life will know how to move you there. Then life begins. Let's take a breath. Okay, so as you're coming to the end of this journey, like I say, I imagine there's an inquiry going on for you about what next. And it may be that you have some sense of what next. It may be that, maybe that's unclear to you. I think it's really important to ride the edge within ourselves of one half of the reality being there is no time to lose. And it does not help the world for there to be more temple and mystery school floaters. Like, it does not help the world for there to be more people who've been through 6-week trainings who are now just following the ecstatic current to their next whatever, kind of peak experience to peak experience to peak experience. There is a part which is like, we are all profoundly privileged to have received what we've received. And the invitation now is show up. take your place, find your place. All of us find our place within the help that is needed to give in a way that is in that sweet spot between what turns us on most and what is our greatest gift to give. And I'll go more into that later. So on one side, time to show up. On the other side, there's no rush. You know? And none of us can fake being somewhere we're not. And the world is big enough, and the world process has enough grace for us to find our right pace and our right time. And that may be different for different ones of us. But the important piece is that we are listening, like that we are listening and we are available to the deep call of our being. And the reality is that when soul initiation happens, it should and does unleash deeper frequencies of creativity, of love, and of purpose. You know? So I imagine you like raise your hand if you felt that, raise your hand if you felt resources of deeper energies of creativity wanting to move through you now as a result of what you've experienced. Like raise your hand if you felt deeper frequencies of love wanting to move through your life now as a result of what you've experienced. Yeah, and purpose too, right? So the leadership piece, I mean, your leadership can flow through all of those, and it's specifically related to the purpose piece. And I want to share with you today like a new presentation of what leadership is, the way I see leadership, and the way I think that leadership is increasingly going to exist in the world, and that you are invited into as far as leadership is concerned. So I really like how in meteorology, weather science, a leader is a stream of plasma that channels lightning in a storm. The word leader is a technical term in that scientific field for a stream of plasma, charged energy that channels lightning in a storm. Leaders must be those who channel lightning. And that lightning is the electric current and eros of your soul. If we can relate to leadership in this way, leadership becomes a state of being. You require no permission from anyone to step into a position of leadership, because leadership is the frequency of your being when you are in the flow of the lightning of the will of your own soul. And so that is where we start to feel like, you know, this question, like what turns your soul on? Like when I do leadership work with people, I want to know like what turns their soul on. And purpose, soul purpose is the eros of the soul. Yeah. I almost feel like there's almost like there's at least two, you know, I guess you could say there's three kind of seeds of eros in our being. There's our sexual energy, which is the eros of our body. There's our soul purpose, which is like the eros of our soul. And then there's just the eros of the universal one that lives in our heart. So yeah, it's good to be in this inquiry of like, what really turns your soul on? Because it can be that the world feels pretty heavy right now. You know? So does that feel like, is anybody else feeling major pressure and weight in their inner being as they have any part of them just kind of sensing what the fuck is going on out there? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And my experience is that a really, really large number of human beings, their hearts are open enough to want to respond, and their minds are open enough to want to participate. And at the same time, they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do, and they don't know how to find their place. And so for me, part of the good news of the new leadership gospel, just like, you know, you have Jehovah's Witnesses who come and knock on your door, and you open the door and they say, have you heard the good news? They want to tell you the gospel story. And the gospel story is good news. It is. They are right in a certain way, not right in every way. The good news about leadership is that actually it's open to all of us based on the turn on of our being. You know? And there is an invitation from life itself. There's an invitation from our soul to discover, to unfold that sweet spot, as I say, where your greatest turn on, your greatest fulfillment, and your greatest service are one. So give me another show of hands. If you felt yourself in that place at some point in your life where suddenly, whether by plan or design or clarity, or it just fucking happened for whatever reason, you found yourself in that place where suddenly you're in the flow of something where it's like, oh my God, this, like whatever the fuck this is, like I am in the, this is it, you know? Hands coming up, right? And at the same time, you can feel, if you are honest, right? And that's another thing, right? We've got to jettison, we've got to get rid of all the, I mean, maybe you guys are way past this and a lot of people aren't, but we can feel when we're having impactful service, you know? It's a mark of true, mature humility, not to be understated in our recognition of ourselves, but to be rightly stated in the recognition of ourselves, to rightly own where we recognize we're having genuine impact, you know? And to also recognize where we're not. So have you felt that? Have you felt that place where you know, like, when this is moving through me, I'm serving? You know? Do you know that place? Okay. So one of my favorite things to do, and I think Taki kind of did this a little bit the other day when with the whole lightning storm thing, I love to be in the flow of this energy with people. This energy is, you know, like, so one of the reasons that human beings fear eros is because it's free, you know, because it does not participate in the conditioning in itself, in its pure expression. It does not participate in the conditioning, in the limitations, in the holding back, in the fears of the rest of our vulnerable human beings. It doesn't fucking care. Like, it is free. It is free life force. And the same is true of the eros in your soul. You know, it is free. It is abundant. It is fucking unlimited. It is a resource that you will never, that will never end. You know? And I love being in the flow of that energy with people. So I want to invite you guys now to find a partner, find another soul-initiated human being who you can just do a little exercise with. And arrange your bodies in such a way that you are sat face to face with them. I want you sitting.
I get a buy it, I get a buy it.
So it's
Okay, just take a breath together. Take a moment to look into the eyes of the person in front of you. And really look deep into their eyes, as if you're looking into the dark pupil of their eye and falling through that darkness into something more, something else, something further. And see if you can start to just sense and feel this erotic power of life, of the universe itself, that wants to come uniquely through the soul of the person in front of you. A force of life and power and purpose and love and creativity and service. And take a breath. And close your eyes. And then just feel yourself in that. How does that want to come through you? When have been those times, those moments, those seconds, those minutes, those hours where you have felt that sweet spot alive in you of your greatest turn on and your greatest service as one? Even if it was just a second. What is that in you? And take a breath. And you can open your eyes. And then each person is going to take 2 minutes just to share with the other person what that is for them, to whatever degree they're connected to it. It's also okay if you don't know that in your system. But you're going to own it. If you do know that in your system, you're going to stand for it. Who's going to go first? Raise your hand. You have 2 minutes. Go. Last 30 seconds. Okay, and coming to silence. And taking a deep breath in celebration and fuck yes to whatever that was from the other person, the person. Okay. Switching over. Other person, 2 minutes, off you go. Okay, and come into silence. Taking a deep breath in as a fuck yes to whatever was just shared. Thanking your partner. Okay. And bringing your awareness back to the screen that is my current home. Hey, bro.
I'll see you soon.
Okay, give me a couple of harvests, sharings into the wider group, sharings of what's alive in you as you've been in that inquiry.
Yeah, I can share. You don't see me, but for
Can
me,
you hear him?
Yeah, I can hear him. Yeah.
want to that space. Hey, John. For me, it was like this realization that, yeah, it's really like an energy frequency. Like as you were speaking of a state of being, it's not like doing a particular thing or like, you know, being in a certain project. It's like this frequency. So that was thank you.
I second that.
Yes, when Kat was sharing, I could hardly follow her words because I felt it so much in my body. What she was saying.
I know this frequency as a place where I don't
anymore, like I don't feel like it's me anymore. And I noticed it's just that the life force is kind of like feeding, like it's this rotation of energy that I've been nourished by it at the same time as I give it out.
Mhm.
I don't get tired. I don't need food.
Anyone else?
Well, I just want to add, I feel tremendous joy inside my heart when I do these things.
Yeah.
So it's like, yes, yeah, it's a great amount of joy. That's beautiful.
Sweet.
Yeah, I was gonna pop in. Hi, John.
No.
The visual that came to me, and it was this like the bloody chambers of the heart, and how it's a double beat. So it's at the same life force is what beats, like pushes it out and pulls it in at the same time, and that feeling of the life force, like when I'm really in that current, it's like that heart beating where it's like you know, like the life force comes in as much as it goes out.
Mhm.
And like after what Joanna described, just resting in peace of that and observing, and like it's this, like I am in my place. This is exactly how.
I experience
A little louder.
oh sorry. Hi.
Hi.
For me there's a deep sense of both humility and overwhelming gratitude.
Yeah.
Like a sense of blessing, like wow, I get to do this.
Yeah.
And the sense of being a very small piece of a very big puzzle.
Beautiful.
Hey,
Hey, Gunther.
to me, it feels like from the inside, it's a complete state of clarity. It feels completely clear. My mind feels completely clear when I create, and also my body feels very, very light. It's like a string. No.
Okay, so raise your hand if you grew up in a culture which fostered and supported this from a young age in you. Yeah,
Yes, I did.
You
Wow.
excellent. Raise your hand if you grew up in a culture that did not. Yeah, fuck that, right? Yeah, so, you know, a really, basically like the doorway to leadership being a state of being rather than anything that you need permission for or somebody else's validation for is connection to the energy and the frequency that we're describing. And that energy and that frequency is soul purpose, right? And soul purpose is something that, you know, a lot of people, when they have conversations about this, it's like, oh, what's your soul purpose? Like, so, you know, can you unpack the vision for me? Can you tell me what it is and its start and its finish and ... And that is a way that soul purpose unpacks itself into the level of mind, where it clothes itself in concepts that you can communicate. This is the concept. There you go, right? Yeah, I'm here for the evolution of our health practices, or I'm here for an update in the way we do education in the world, so it's more soul-centered or whatever, right? But the energy that you're connecting to right now, deeper than that, it's an energy, it's a frequency, it's life force. That's the root of this, and that's what you want to connect to, right? And when you're in connection with that, you are a leader by virtue of the fact that you are pioneering something that wants to come through you. And when you're doing that, and when you're in that energy, do you need anyone's permission?
No.
Do you need anyone's validation?
No!
Ask one more question.
You're getting the vibe. So when I've done a lot of work around purpose and how purpose contributes to social transformation. And something I was always super inspired to find is, like, in ancient cultures, purpose always served the same function, right? This expression of yeah, the drive and the turn on and the creativity of our soul, it always served the same purpose, which is the right relationship between the individual and the tribe. It's the right relationship. When we're in this, when we have this, there can be right relationship between the individual and the tribe. And it's the responsibility of the tribe to support this to be found in the individual. And it's the responsibility of the individual to bring this out for the tribe. And then when you start to have communities of that, imagine that. Imagine when you start to have groups, communities, systems, cultures, societies, where that's the foundation of how people are being supported to show up, and that's the foundation of how people are showing them. That's radically different. It's abundant, it's life-giving, it's fulfilling, it's energizing, it's grace-filled, and it's deeply service-oriented. So thankfully, in my view, I actually think humanity is probably right on the doorstep of a major collective purpose crisis, because whatever the fuck happens with our global health situation, the reality is we are on the verge of technological developments, AI, the automation of vast numbers of jobs that human beings currently do, so that human beings are not going to be needed for those jobs quite soon, right? And when you partner that with the fact that what's going to be needed to come, what governments are going to need to probably do then is they're going to need to bring in things like universal basic income. Yeah, so we're on the verge of major shifts of how shit works. Universal basic income is going to come in, mass automation of jobs is going to come in. Question, what are we going to do? What are you going to do when you've got a lot more time? And actually your time does not need to be dedicated to your survival. Because actually that's what's been running us for a really long fucking time, right? Survival. And what's the best compromise? That's what I grew up with. What's the best compromise between you buying our survival package and you having some semblance of a decent sense of what you maybe are doing with your time? Fuck that. Right? There's a whole world of slavery in that reality, which is where we've been living for a really long time, and it's going to change. So what we want is we want to have cultures of mutual empowerment around exactly this inquiry, around purpose and soul creativity, so that we can really support ourselves to move into ways of living that are life-giving, life-affirming, fulfilling, grace-filled, and abundant, right? So that all sounds pretty good, huh? Yeah? Sounds pretty good. And then there's also some other pieces, which are also good to talk about in this type of thing, right? Which is my experience of working with people in this journey is that there's a certain intelligence, there's a kind of dark intelligence to the way the soul works when it's really supporting people to come online in this way. And it can be represented by the image of a donkey being led along by a carrot on a stick. So let me explain, right? So oftentimes what happens for people is they have some breakthrough experience, some download, some insight, some vision of, holy fuck, look what it would look like for me to be able to live my life based on this purpose, this frequency, this creativity that wants to come through my soul. That feels great. Sign me up. Yes, please. Let's do it. Right? And then what they often think is, okay, so now I'm committed. Now I've said yes. I'm just going to do that. That's not what happens. Like, what generally happens then is all of their stuff comes up. Actually, they start to be shown all the apparent reasons why they are not living from this place. All the parts in them that do not trust, that are not grace-filled, that are not, all their deepest traumas, their blockages, the places where actually, I don't even know if I can get out of bed today. And so this is where there's a kind of, I don't know if I spoke to you guys about this when I did my session last time, but there's a, tell me if I did, there's a kind of spiritual schizophrenia to the path that really comes online here. Did I mention this before? Yeah, there's a certain kind of spiritual schizophrenia that comes online, which is, on one day you are in the flow of this energy, you're feeling it pulse through your heart, you're feeling your soul expand, you're feeling all the beings that it's going to be your destiny, your privileged destiny to be able to support and bring the frequency that wants to come through you to. And the next day, you can't tie your own shoelaces. Yeah? Like the next day, you are down, right? Because your partner or that person that you want to get more intimate with, or that opportunity, or just whatever the fuck, that pattern came up again in your awareness and actually like on the ground, floored, down. Yeah. And a lot of people, I'm sharing this because it's just really important to understand that the pioneering the purpose frequency of life that wants to come through the erotic charge of your soul journey is deeply, deeply related to the personal healing journey. Yeah? And sometimes people don't get that and they think, I'm just an imposter, maybe. Like, or actually maybe none of this is even real. Maybe I'm just like John and Taki and Lisa and Graham, they're selling some, idealistic brochure of how life could be that no one's really fucking living, really, are they?
I knew it! You finally sold us on the river.
Yeah, John, why?
And actually, like, they're all imposters. I'm an imposter too, right? Because actually, I'm just being dragged down into the downward spiral of my own trauma hell, and that's really what's going on. So that's option one. Raise your hand if you've ever had traces of that. Yeah. And then there's option two, right? And option two is, it seems I've completed my healing journey. I can feel by the frequency that is coming through me, the love that I feel myself connected to after that meditation this morning, that I very
For sure.
yeah.
Put your hands up.
Put your hands up.
Come on, raise your hand.
Yeah.
Everyone doesn't do it.
Those are all gold stars right there. Gold stars.
That my journey is complete, and I'm sure we should all be glad that my journey is complete, because I have arrived. Okay, so I saw some hands go up. If you've been in the it's all bullshit and everyone's an imposter camp, right? And I saw some hands go up in the kind of like, thank God for everyone that I finally arrived, and now my service to humanity can fill out. Right? Now, are there any hands that would go up if I'd say, have you sometimes been caught between the two and wondered if you're going a little crazy? Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, I'm happy to share with you that is normal, right? It is like completely normal. And actually, like, this is one of those places in my experience, I feel like on my journey, as I've kind of, I feel like in a number of ways in my journey, I've been given the opportunity to grow minute, tiny, fucking tiny little step by minute, tiny, fucking tiny little step. And at the time, sometimes when that's been going on, I've been like, wow, this feels like some slow going shit. Like, and at the same time, as I look back, it's like, it's given me the opportunity to actually really understand and see how life does some really intelligent things. And I feel like I've seen that with the people I work with as well. So I actually think that precisely this piece There's another version of it, which is really related to the trauma healing journey, which is it's another remarkable demonstration of the intelligence and wisdom of life. But like, this is how life asks us for purity, and it's how it gives us the energy necessary for our healing. You know, because actually what we, you know, that journey of going through the healing of our deepest traumas is so, like, let's just be straight, it's really fucking hard. Yeah, it's really, really hard. And actually, most human beings aren't available for that level of underground journey. Yeah. And really, for us to be genuinely available for that amount of facing the incredibly uncomfortable, terrifying, painful, you know, reflections of ourselves, and really owning who we are in those places, and showing up to bring whatever is necessary to meet ourselves for the healing that needs to happen, we generally need a good reason to do that. Yeah. Remember the whole carrot on the stick thing, that actually that's what our souls do. Like, that vision that you cannot forget because it's moved you so fucking deeply and it's touched you so fucking deeply, of what it could feel like, that imprint in your system of feeling that frequency of showing up fully, and the deep core of who you are coming out into the world in service of other beings as you fucking shine as one with them. That's good enough, right? That gives us such an imprint of like, that I'm a yes to that. I will do what I need to do, because it's not, I'm not even being sold something here. I'm aware that this is really the revelation and the emergence of who I truly am. You know? And for that, yeah, I'm willing to face myself. Like, yeah, I'm willing to see again those places that I lose myself, that I abandon myself, that I hurt myself, that I'm violent to myself. And I'm willing to find my way through. So to me, there's an incredible intelligence to that. There's an incredible intelligence that, like, soul life is like, you know, I always think of like the example of like a game show, you know, where it's like, and what's in the mystery box, you know, and it's like, it shows us this like vision of ourselves and where it could go. And then it's also like, and now these are the questions you're going to have to answer to get there. So, yeah, it's really important that we have cultures within our communities where, you know, which are fundamentally cultures of soul emergence and soul embodiment, that we get this, that we get that the nature of soul emergence is like, one frequency of it is it's going to transform your relationship to power. And coming online, the democratization of leadership is, you don't need permission from anyone to come online and bring the purpose that wants to come through you in service of humanity. And when you do so, you are a pioneer. Therefore, by virtue of that, you are a leader. Thank you, done, right? And can we come together in mutually empowering fields of like, I want your fucking leadership. You want my leadership. We all need our leadership. You know, we want to grow. I want to be part of those fucking reservoirs of more and more and more power, right? And power that is innocent, that is love, that is freedom, that is the destiny of what wants to happen on this planet. Yes. And we want to be really transparent and clear and honest and vulnerable about the reality that all of us are going to be in deep healing journeys in that process. Like, all of us are going to be in processes of facing ourselves and being willing to own the healing that needs to happen in us, and actually show up super vulnerably in being honest and truthful and accountable to where we've got some stuff to heal. And actually, when you have both of those going on, you start to have a deeper and deeper integration of soul and embodiment. And that integration of soul and embodiment is the doorway to true power. And that's the power of the dark. And that's another level of what leadership actually represents. But I want, a big part of what my work is dedicated to is, I want true power in the world. I want clean power in the world. And in order for us to have true power and clean power, there's a very vulnerable journey that we need to go. And it involves a deep yes to our soul and a deep yes to the vulnerable and broken nature of our humanity in many places. So deep breath. So yeah, I just want you to find another person, not the same person that you were sharing with before, but find another person and sit down in front of that person again. And Taki, we're going for 90 minutes, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you want?
Yes.
Take some seat on the rock.
Okay, so once again, like just take a deep breath as you sat with this person, with the breath together. And look into each other's eyes. And see if you can feel the soul looking through the eyes of the person in front of you. And then feel that humanity as well. Feel the human in front of you. See the human in their eyes. And see if you can take a moment to sense what the person in front of you is needing to face within themselves, the vulnerable, painful parts within themselves that the pressure of their emergence is asking them to face. And they're saying yes to that. And take a breath. And close your eyes. And feel what is true for you in that. What are the pieces that are being shown to you that need healing? That are being revealed as you say yes more and more deeply to the purpose that wants to come through your soul. What are the places in you that are coming up that clearly are asking for healing, that are revealed as you say a deeper yes to what wants to come through your soul? You can open your eyes. And the person who's going to share first, raise your hand. Okay, you have 2 minutes to share. What are the pieces that are showing you they need healing, that are revealed as you say a deep yes to what wants to come through your soul? Okay, so coming to silence. And taking a deep breath in to honor that share. And switching over. 2 minutes.
Yeah, I have something Okay, and coming to silence. Taking a deep breath in to welcome that share.
And thanking the person you shared with. Okay, and bring your awareness back to me. So any harvests, how was that? What's life for you?
It was more fun to talk about the other piece.
I can share.
Nicole.
Yeah, like on my initiation journey, what came very strongly is a deep remembrance that I'm loved by life. And I feel that's the piece that I need to stay connected to in this next layer of my vision, because it might receive a lot of rejection or projection or resistance or misunderstanding. But I feel when I can stay connected to this knowing that I am loved, I will be able to stand in the fire of it all.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, John. For me, it was less in the sharing practice, but more in the, like the moment you said something about the power of our vision. And I remembered the energy of my vision that I've received many years ago that had me go through hell and back multiple times, like all of us, I guess. But yeah, this anchoring of how potent that is, and I connected it for the first time with something that I can yeah, it's almost like I failed to stand in the articulation of it. There's something like, it feels like the connection to earth that has me stand for it and being able to address, like, or like to voice, to give it a voice, and that energy has deepened through that.
Thank you. Can anybody else relate to a point that I'm taking there from that share, that what we're shown is possible through us deeply grows us?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of clarity coming through, fairly standard childhood leadership, but also feeling the surfacing of all these sexual distortions as the juice of my soul can be expressed more fully through the juice of my body. Yeah, which feels very alive and juicy in my bones.
Can you feel?
For me, it was a very intimate, vulnerable and loving moment with myself, of just owning the things that I did work on and the massive road that is still left for me, and the work that is asking to be healed, and just having this deep sense of knowing that I will be there to do that for myself. Yeah.
Nice, thank you.
Hello. Preaching out. Yeah, for me, it was this belief that I'm a bad person if I follow. So, like, if I take that choice, I'm a bad person. Somebody needs to spank me.
You're bad if I am.
Good or bad.
Okay, all right. So something to be aware of is, and I felt this from Nicole's share, like what I've witnessed as well is that the pieces that come up for healing in us, some of them are just ours. Some of them in me are to do with my childhood or my adolescence or that thing that happened whenever, right? But some of them are shared as well. Like there are collective traumas that actually it's normal to face and have come up within us when we are in deeper and deeper, when we are on the journey of the emergence of who we truly are and the purpose that wants to come through us, right? And one of those collective traumas that I pretty much I've never not seen someone have to face at some point is the part in us that deeply fears that if we really come out and stand for what wants to come through us, that we will be excommunicated from the tribe.
Yep.
Can you feel that place in yourself?
Yes.
Yeah. And, fair enough. Actually, if you think about it, we've got some good reasons to have that fear in our system. We can probably all think of a number of examples of beings who really took a stand for the love that wanted to come through them, and it didn't end so well. So, yeah, that's something to be honest about and to be connected with. Like I know for myself, I've felt that at different stages. With the more I've really been like, okay, no, I'm going to bring myself out to humanity now. It's like the parts of me that are like, wow, like that might not land well, and it's part of the journey. I even think that there's a journey of the more we clean our own stuff, then there's more of the collective stuff that we work with, and that is even part of the initiation journey. So that's a piece worth mentioning. And another piece that I just want to mention is like, so once you've connected to the purpose that wants to come through you as a frequency of the eros of your soul, and you understand that that is the foundation for a new expression of leadership, that's a transformation of your relationship to power. Then once you've recognized, and we're all honest about the fact that actually that's inevitably, because life is intelligent and soul is intelligent, that's going to also involve the necessity of each of our healing journey. The answer to that is love, right? What that will ask of us is deeper and purer levels of love to meet the places in us that have not been met by love. And the third piece is creativity. And, we want to hold ourselves and we want to hold each other accountable to following through, to really following through. So if we really want to explore what it means to show up in this deeper expression of leadership and purpose in the world, create and let yourself be experimental in it. Like, check in with yourself. Has anyone here ever held back because of some part of them believing that it needs to be perfect first? Oh. Yeah, so this is a trap. Like, this is a major, major trap. And it's one that is very, very common. And fuck that, basically. It's another one of those, yeah? Do not wait for things to be perfect before you explore. Like, it's really, I think there's a passage in the teachings which says that the initiate does not work because they know because they work. The initiate does not work because they know because they work. We learn by doing. I have learned so much from doing things in certain ways that I would not do again. Really, like, and even the deepest learnings repeatedly have been like, oh, that did not work out how I thought it might work out, how I wanted it to work out. Good. I understand what's going on in that circumstance. Okay, like, now I can explore it in a different way, and I understand it more deeply. So the piece that I really want to invite all of you into here is like, do not wait for your arrival. Do not wait for the completion of your healing journey. Do not wait for your vision to be absolutely perfect. Do not wait for your, like, whatever it is, right? Like, experiment. Like, really, I invite all of us to like experiment. And actually, one of the things which is really a core needed part of temple culture in so many ways is we give each other permission to experiment. Like, I remember when I did my Haydn training, and, you know, at one point, like, we were doing a lot of dark masculine stuff, and someone said something like, well, this feels super, super vulnerable to like go out into the world and just try and, you know, I'm trying to show up in this way. And actually it feels like there's, you know, that could go bad pretty fast, right? And I remember Bruce saying, he was like, yeah, and that's why we have temple culture. That's one of the reasons why we have temple culture. Like, we can be in the experiment with each other, in the recognition that, you know, it's not about anyone getting shit right, like, all the time. That's not what this is about. Like, this is about saying yes to a deeper expression of what wants to come through us, and being in a field of permission and welcome with each other around that, where we get the opportunity to experiment and explore and learn and grow through that process. Yeah. So this temple, you know, out of this temple comes a temple culture. Like, and you then participate in the growing global temple culture, which exists all over the world and is a fucking gift, a deep, deep gift that all of us, you know, can inhabit, to be plugged into. And this is a culture that's going to be a deep yes to the unfoldment of who you are, to the deeper revelation of who you are, and a deep yes to all of us experimenting and learning. And hopefully, in my view, a culture that holds us all accountable. Yeah, like, that holds us accountable, like, hey, come, right? Bring more of you. I can see it's there. Don't wait for it to be perfect. Don't let yourself be held by patterns of, you know, the thing that just has you actually go and switch Netflix on again. Like, don't let yourself be held by whatever your version is of what keeps you small, of what keeps me small. Track those patterns of what keeps you small mercilessly, and love the shit out of them. So, and be intolerant for their stories. Like, water them with love and be completely intolerant of their stories. Yeah, and I would really say, like, this is the creativity piece as well. It's like, it's where we learn so many lessons that are really real world 3D lessons, like how to facilitate stuff, like how to deal with, you know, and there's a whole universe of stuff which I don't have the time to talk about, like how to integrate money with your expression of purpose, right? Like, how to make sure that you find good venues. Like, what does a space where you want to experiment with stuff like feel like, if you even hire venues, like how to navigate the right fit and integration of your unapologetic expression of the purpose that wants to come through you with being employed by an already existing organization. Like, these pieces, 3D, real world, rubber hits the road lessons, like, they come down to this piece of creativity and application.
John, do a 5-minute thing on the money.
What?
5-minute piece on the money. Like lightning.
Yeah, I mean, so one thing I'd say about the money piece is like, soul wants everything. You know, your soul wants everything, and it will ask you for everything. And generally, you know, our souls will tolerate us giving them everything piece by piece. So your soul will first of all ask for your time and your, a meditation practice. Give me some time and attention, like on a regular basis. But after a while, it'd be like, okay, well, I actually want a bit more of your vision of your life. I want you to give me the vision of your life. And then it'll be like, okay, well, I, as your soul, I'm pretty interested in how you love now. Like, I want to actually start to take control of how you love. And after some more time, it'd be like, okay, well, I'm pretty interested now in how you deal with your emotions, like, and how you deal with yourself and your relationship with yourself. I want that too, And it's like, and then it's like, I want your eros. I want your eros, and I want your sexuality. And eventually, I want your money.
Yeah.
And when it says, I want your money, and I want your relationship to money, each of these are major fulcrums. Each of these are major transition points on the path. And the deeper they go, the more they trigger survival stuff, whether it's like emotional level survival stuff, sexual, emotional level survival stuff, and down into money is physical level survival stuff. And it's a major transition point in someone's expression of purpose in the world when they start to earn their money from the expression of their purpose. And generally what happens is that the people around them who do not understand that the reality of soul and the soul realm exists, and the reality of the soul realm is an interconnected field of synchronicity, intelligence, wisdom, and guidance that's available to all of us to the degree to which we're aligned with it. People who don't get that see people who are in the process of what?
After that sentence.
I'm good, right? And the people who don't get that, okay, you can take a deep breath if you need to take a deep breath.
Take a deep breath. Let John keep going. Go, John.
So the people who don't get that look at the person who's in the process of that transition and like, you're crazy. What the fuck are you doing? Why would you give up your source of income that comes from some stable, safe, conventional, society-connected way of doing things? Why would you risk that? You're safe. Your survival is somehow plugged into what it needs to be. Why would you risk that for some woo-woo, risky thing that takes you off into a world we don't even know exists, right? Raise your hand if you've ever had that kind of thing go on around you, where people are like massively questioning you, like, what are you doing? Are you fucking crazy? What are you thinking? And the reality of that is, like, in a certain way, that's reasonable for those people, because those people do not clearly understand that the reality of the soul and the soul realm exists. For those people who do understand that the reality of the soul and the soul realm exists, then they understand that actually, when you make that transition, you're transitioning out of a frequency of reality that is not in coherence with itself. And because it's not in coherence with the whole portion of the universe that is in coherence with itself, everyone's living on survival. Yeah, there's a whole portion of the universe which is in deep coherence, synchronicity, interconnection, and flow with itself. Most of human culture does not exist there. And so most of human culture exists in a frequency of life which is really disconnected. And because it's really disconnected, everyone is preoccupied with survival. So when you make that transition from earning your money from survival-based prostitution of yourself, fundamentally, through to earning your money from your expression of soul in the world, you are transitioning out of living your life on the basis of that survival-based frequency into the intelligence and the wisdom and the interconnection and the synchronicity of how stuff works in the soul realm being the guide for how you earn your money. And that is different. And it's a different, and you have to learn the lessons of a different kind of security. I imagine a number of you have already done this. Like, I know for me, when I first did that, I did, it's like, if you'd asked me, like, it's even the case for me now. You ask me, like, do you know for sure, John, like, where and how exactly you're going to be earning your money in a year from now? I'd be like, no, not necessarily. Like, I don't have the same kind of security that someone who's working in a company is just like, yeah, I know I'm going to be earning that, and I maybe will have this raise or this change of position or whatever. But what I did learn, and I'm sure what a number of you have learned as well, is like, my situation is good and flows as long as I'm steady with my alignment. Like, as long as I continue to show up for the alignment with my soul and what wants to come through me, shit works out. Like, and it grows and it builds and it unfolds. And then here's a really important piece around money as well, in my experience. If you are going to step out on your own and basically earn your money from the expression of the soul purpose that wants to come through you, there's a whole nother level of being a spiritual grown-up that comes online there, right? Which is like, we have to then welcome times where money is not flowing as opportunities for evolution that we haven't seen we need to do yet.
Bam.
Yeah. And so you have to be willing, and this is a growing up process. I remember when I first did this, it was a huge shift for me. Like when stuff was not flowing for me, really not flowing, like to welcome that as evolutionary tension, not just emotional tension or unclarity tension, evolutionary tension. What am I not seeing now? What is life asking from me? What have I not already given? What could I give more? What is this asking of me? You know? And to be willing and able to welcome such a time in your life like that, whilst inevitably some survival stuff is going to be activated in you, and you're not necessarily being, no one else is holding that field for you necessarily. You have to hold that field. That's an upgrade in spiritual maturity, in my view. So yeah, those are some pieces. And I'm sure there's also people there who would have amazing extra things to offer about this. And I know Nicole would and Taki would, and I'm sure there's others as well. So it's been a pleasure to be with you guys. I hope this has been helpful. Yeah. Yeah, I guess I just want to leave you with the fact that you are graduating from a soul initiation experience into a global community of soul initiated beings who are part of a greater worldwide community of soul initiated humanity who want for you, who want the expression of your soul, who celebrate the expression of your soul, who will support the expression of your soul, who will call forth the expression of your soul and stand with you, stand with me, stand with us as we do the necessary healing work. And as we actually also have the fun and the learnings and the challenges and the evolutionary tension of learning how to really ground this in the world. So, yeah, let's all do that and have fun and grow through it. So, yeah.
Thank you, John.
John, don't go anywhere. This be lovely this will be the last time that we'll be seeing John during the TTT. So as I understand, John. Mm-hmm. So just wondering whether we could all come together so that he can see all of us. That includes you, Taki. Just so we can. And I'm gonna speak for the group, John, and say how deeply grateful we are to have you join us and to support us like this. And on a personal level too, it means a huge amount to have you in my life.
Yeah, pleasure to be with you all. Big love. And
just so you know, folks here, we didn't ask John to do this session. He offered. Wow. It was from the flow of his heart wanting to be here and with us. And of course we said yes, anytime, any day, midnight, fine, we're yours. But it's like this came from him. It came from his overflow to us. And I want to honor that deeply.
Please water this being.
Thank you, John. Love you. Beautiful to be with you guys. I wish you a really wonderful, nourishing rest of your time, and I look forward to wherever and however the journey brings me together with any of you in the future.
You're amazing.
Ciao.
Back it up.